when people said, oh, no, not November is so hard. I'm so glad they didn't release this Stride Deckset in November. If not, I automatically lose. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mrs. here. Welcome to the Stride Deckset month of September. And today I will be going through my favorite Stride Deckset of all time. Yes, sorry, Blade Master. It is going to be Nightrose. Nightrose finally has come to standard, and I am generally so happy to have her. Playing her, different issue. Deck's not very good, but it's still my deck. I still love her to no end, and I will talk about her in every format possible. So to get the format talk out of the way, I'll put my links in the description for my V Nightrose deck profile, most updated for last year. You can check that out. I also will immediately put a link in the description for my DivineZ Explained video for all of you who are new to Standard and like to know what happened in the last year. And last but not least, the biggest one, I will link my Nightrose Encyclopedia for DivineZ. Yes, I wrote a Standard Nightrose Encyclopedia. It's in the link in the description. It will contain all of the options that I researched and tested on, and all the different things you could take a look, as well as a more in-depth analysis on each of the individual Stride Deckset cards. So whatever this video doesn't provide, the link in the description will solve it. Okay, so just so we're all clear, in case there's something that you feel that I didn't address adequately or I'm skipping over, it probably I've already finished talking about it, so you may want to take a read at that and share it if it helped you, you like it if it helped you. You know, I'm doing this strictly because I like Nightrose, and I want to help as many people as possible who want to learn this deck, because while, you know, it's not a very good deck, it is still a deck, right? So content like this should be shared. That out of the way though, let's talk about the premise of this deck profile. This deck profile is going to be built very differently. The idea behind this list that I'll be presenting to you today is focused around the early game. It's focused around the infamous Grade 2 gaming, where you don't really ride up. So a lot of the cards you're going to be playing is to try and rush early game, as well as to build a more bottom heavy deck for Nightrose, even though she has a nice bump. But yeah, so realistically, this deck will not ride up if it has to. And that being said though, immediately the first thing that should fire off in your brain is, I'm not playing Enlarged Gulf. Okay, I'm not doing it for this version. I have an alternative for that, well, sort of. But just so that we're all on the same page, this list will not have Enlarged Gulf, because this list that I'm presenting is going to be an experimental list on not riding up. If you want to play the standard competitive Nightrose list, if you're looking for that, it is in my encyclopedia. It's the list that I talk about. So please, I beg you, check that link there. It will solve most of your problems, especially for those of you who are here for the meta review. You will want that. Okay, so please, I'm saying this from last time, just check it out. That out of the way, let's get started with the deck profile proper. So for our right deck, we obviously have the Energy Crest, and then we have, you know, our standard right deck, which is exactly what you would think it is for Nightrose. So again, my right deck and energy DivineZ Explained video is in the link in the description, so if you don't know anything about energy, you can check it out. Energy is very important because one of our most important cards in this deck will use energy, and that is of course Farmja. Farmja is from Festival Booster 2024, and it will basically allow us to loop Nightrose, so we can actually get access to our ultimate Stride. Again, if you've not read Encyclopedia, you need to know this now. This is the only way we multi-attack in this deck. This is the only way this deck plays at a tier 3-4 level. Anything that doesn't involve Miss Phantasm, you get out. You have no relevance. You have no future. You will get sniped by Blanket You will get sniped by Equilibra. I'm sorry. So remember, the number one thing you need when it comes to Nightrose is you need to get away to get into Miss Phantasm. And because I'm not playing Enlarged Gulf, I will use Farmja. So the point of energy here is that energy works on a curve. You guys should know this by now. So you can get 3 energy, 6 energy, 9 energy. We will use this EB7 once to drop to 2 energy, right? And that is when we strike into Obadiah. So again, I'm going into a lot of the technical stuff now, but I think you guys should at least know when you're getting to this video that a lot of the basics I've already covered. So the whole point is to go from 3, 6, 9, then you hit 2, because you EB7 draw, and then next turn you reach 5 energy, correct? And that's when you want to strike Nightrose. When you want to strike Nightrose, have Farmja in the drop zone, you will go to 5 energy and then back to 2 energy, you will bind, you'll get rid of Farmja, remove from game, and then you will add the Nightrose back to hand to assure your ultimate strike next turn. And that's why we play up to 4 Farmja. You will see it later in the list. So the point is that you can loop that Nightrose strike for times, and that is perfect because it will ensure that you basically get to use all 4 copies of your Miss Phantasm, and that is the closest thing you will ever have to a relevant game plan. So yes, I know I went really out of order here by talking about the strides and the great ones and the energy, but this is a deck that really, based on this premise, you need to know the energy interaction. It is something you need to know, and you will only know this if you have played Standard before. So again, I'm putting this out, I'm putting this early, just so we know this is how we loop Nightrose in this list. If you play Enlarged Gulf, you will not need this idea because you will just turn 1 Soul Blast into 1 Nightrose with Enlarged Gulf skill, and then you will play tech options to build your soul for Enlarged Gulf. And by tech options, I mainly mean either you play this guy or you play this guy. Again, you will know this if you read my encyclopedia, so please check it out. It's in the link in the description. So that is all the basics of this deck covered. Everything else is going to be very quick, okay? So Grenache, D3 starter, Parting Shade. I really like this art. Gives you the Nightrose Crest. Nightrose Crest is your standard crest for, Stride decks, and it's not very good. It will just put a card back to the deck when you mill 3 for your Nightrose GB2, so it's a mill 2 instead of mill 3. Doesn't really help. Make sure you play cards that shuffle your deck whenever you use this skill, because if you bought that over trigger, you will just never see it again. I know from personal experience, it's happened to me at least 12 times in the last week. Don't be like me. Other than that though, it's just the basic crest. You don't need to worry about it. Again, a lot of the basics is in the encyclopedia. And then of course we have Colombard. Colombard is our titular grade 2. Really nice art. When rolled upon by Nightrose, you can Soul Blast 1. Look at top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 normal units from among them that don't have Sentinel. Add 1 to hand. Put 1 to draw. You need to reveal both cards. You don't get to keep it and smile at your opponent. You have to show them. And this is a holo 15k beater whenever. None of the holo skills in this deck for the standard are generation break locked. This will matter for my premium players who are coming here. None of them are holo. None of the holo skills are generation break locked. So you can feel completely free to just spam and holo and rush. Even though you retire the units in a turn, you can push for magic numbers. This series is a 5k shield format. You don't worry about that. Nightrose is Nightrose. I will not talk about it. Again, links in the description, because I don't want this video to go on forever. Okay, moving on to the Stride deck. Yes, I'm going to move on to the G zone immediately. We have 4 Obadiah, 4 Miss Phantasm, and our Nightrose Crest. Nightrose Crest, I just talked about it, right? So I won't be talking about it any further. So sorry, lads. Rewind the video if you forgot. Obadiah is a setup Stride. He's useless other than that. He doesn't give you multi-attacks. He doesn't help. But it is Obadiah. So he's a free skill, flip 1. He flips 1 unit, face up in Generation Zone. Then you look at the top 5, mill 1, and shuffle the deck. Then you can call 1 card from your drop zone. If it has holo, it gains 5. Holo skill, mind you. So you don't even need to holo it and then gain the 5. No. So you can just call a card with the holo keyword. If it just states holo on the damn card, you get the free 5. It's just a self-strike. This is literally Lunatic Dragon. You go into this as your first strike because it's not locked by anything else. But realistically speaking, if you have to go into Obadiah a second time in the game, consider yourself lost. Miss Phantasm is a beautiful sweetheart. This is the main reason why this deck is playable. Miss Phantasm, when this unit attacks, you can counterblast 1 and retire 2 of your rear guards. And if you do, choose up to 2 grade 2 or greater cards from among them, call them to rearguard circle. And if you have 10 or more, this unit gains a crit. 15 or more, the 2 units caught by effect gain 10k. It's a GB2 Ultimate Stride. So what does that mean by Ultimate Stride? You have to discard a card of the same name. So you have to discard another Nightrose so you can gain the effect. If not, you just don't gain this card. So now you understand a lot of basics of this deck. It's locked by a lot of skills, locked by a lot of requirements, but if you just try and practice this at least once or twice, you generally don't go wrong. The plus 10k to the cult units help, especially when we cover a certain card in this deck. You will understand why we actually want it, but you will see that in a bit. Spoilers for that. And then of course, the plus 1 crit is a Vanguard 0 reference, because that is the added skill they gave it from Vanguard 0. So thank you, Game Studio, for your legacy on Cardfight Vanguard. Very honestly, the fact that the D-Series design team is still referencing you 2 years after your death, it's freaking phenomenal. If someone told me that they were referencing me 2 years after my death, I consider that a huge win, okay? I consider that huge accomplishment that my life had some meaning. So Vanguard 0, good job. clearly you guys did something right. People are still using your ideas. Alright, so then again, the great trees. Great trees are pretty easy. I already mentioned it. 3 Nightrose and 1 in the right deck. Because as weird as it sounds, this deck plays a lot like a standard deck. You need to find Nightrose as often as possible to loop your ultimate strides. So generally you will just play 4. It's as simple as that. I know some people will play two copies, right? And with enlarged golf, that's perfectly fine. For us though, I want to play it safe. I just want to play it. Remember, it's still Stride fodder, so you can even still use it for Obadiah. Doesn't matter what. I'm not playing Nightstorm in this list. I just don't feel he's necessary. He's just not helpful in any sense of the word. He's too slow, too fat, too stupid, and he just does nothing. He's just 23k. Like, great, that's gonna kill him. So realistically speaking, you don't really need him. I know if you play Forbidor Surrogate, you can tag him in a one-off. Again, please check the Encyclopedia. But for our version of the list, because we are playing very early aggro deck, we don't need to worry about that. No problem. Moving on to our grade 2s. Our grade 2s, we play 1 copy of Colombard. Colombard again is from the right deck, so you should recognize him. But we are not actually going to play any copies of in the main deck because we have better stuff to do. We play a copy of Unite the Sky. Unite the Sky because I play 4 Nightrose total. You generally can get the full effects of Unite the Sky. He is a gun cycler in the sense that if he's discarded during your turn, you can Counter Blast 1, Energy Blast 3. You actually can draw a card and remove this card. I'd like you to know that this actually has a good interaction with Farmja, where if you actually combine the 2 skills together, you can EB6 to just add the card back to hand and get the draw effect. Pretty good. The Regalis Piece effect, that's the one that gets it, kind of removed and stuff. And that is the draw a card for CB1 or EB3 when used as a Blitz order. And if you do, you can, gain 15,000 power. Then if you remove a copy of your Vanguard from your drop zone, you can actually gain 25,000 power instead of 15,000 power. Again, super defensive, stupid good, and that's all because you did the hard work of playing you played the extra copies of Nightrose, and because we play Farmja in this list, it becomes a very natural option to play something like Unite the Sky. I didn't talk about Unite the Sky in the Encyclopedia because it is a very niche pick. This is something that will only come up if you specifically play this version of the list. But because you guys are here and watch the video till this point, I'd like to reward you with some knowledge that the readers would not get. So there you go. Of course, then we also have Bovine Blast at 2. Yes, this is our spicy tech pick. We play 4 Marauding Shade and then we play 4 Negrolazy. Negrolazy is our grade 3 gamer. He's only active on grade 3 turns. If you play him on turn 2, you're a cheater. Get out. When Holo skill, and when placed only during the main phase, you can right phase is fine, just besides the battle phase. You can, if your Vanguard is a creature with a Nightrose, Counter Blast 1, choose a card from your drop zone and call it to your Vanguard circle if this card is been holoed. So if it's holoed, means that Negrolazy will kill himself at the end of the turn, but you don't need to worry about the card you call. You get to keep him, which it will make sense when you reach the other parts of this video. And then the second skill is that when this unit is retired during your turn, when holoed Generation Break 1, if you have a creature greater Nightrose and you haven't counter charged this turn, you can counter charge 1. Very, very, very frustrating that this card has 0 synergy with Nightrose's Generation Break 2. I hate it lots, but you know what? They need to make this deck somewhat nerfed. So here you go, that's your nerf. It's not bad, it's not great either, but Negrolazy is a good board builder. If you don't want Negrolazy though, we do have better options like Dianta, we have options like Elvina. Again, just watch the Encyclopedia, it will save you so much time. Not watch, read the Encyclopedia. But yeah, if you generally are just looking for the cheapest option in set and something that can counter charge and extend, you have Negrolazy. There you go. Marauding Shade. Marauding Shade is one of the most controversial cards in this deck set because some people swear by it and say it's the greatest card on planet Earth, and some people just freaking hate this guy to death because why would you want more stats? Why would that be a concern? In our version of Nightrose, you will see the grade 1 options later and it will make a lot of sense. We actually want to play 4 Marauding Shade because we're playing a very aggressive early game with a lot of punching, a lot of rushing. So having a stat stick does matter, and his shield skill does matter in the early game because we built our drop zone very, very fast. So keep that in mind. Marauding Shade, holo, and when this unit is holo, if you have a Nightrose Crest, he gains 5,000 power. If you have 10 or more cards in the drop, he gains 10 instead of 5. This means on turn 2, he's a 15k attacker, or he can even be a 20k attacker. And he's reliant on the Nightrose Crest. Relying on Nightrose Crest means that you don't even need to ride up into Nightrose herself. You just need the crest open, which means you can just grade 2 game with Marauding Shade as a 20k beater. But not only that, Marauding Shade, when placed on a Guardian Circle, if you have the Nightrose Crest, he gains 5k shield, 10 or more cards in a drop, he gains 10k shield. So with the Nightrose Crest again, you can now have a 15k shield and a 20k attacker very easily, just walking around on grade 2. Like, no Stride Deckset has this, let's be real. And again, this is very controversial because some people swear by this card. They call it the greatest card on planet Earth. Some people hate this shit. They play it at 0. I personally, for this version, I recommend 4. To me, if you're going to play aggressive and play with the mill, you want to go all the way. Play the best reward. But if you are playing the meta version of Nightrose, you only play like 1 to 2 copies of Marauding Shade, just because he is another name for Miss Phantasm. Okay, so I've said it. That's my piece of Marauding Shade. Also, again, I've talked about him in the Encyclopedia, so you can read him. But because it's been a week since the Encyclopedia came out, this is like my updated thing. It hasn't changed though. Bovine Blast is not in the Encyclopedia. Yay! So why have I put him in this deck? Bovine Blast can only attack on the 4th battle of this turn, and he has 2 crit. That's all he's here for. He's got 2 crit. And you know what that means? He is used with Miss Phantasm to ensure I have 2 crit attack. Very spicy, very strong, especially because, I'm rushing as fast as possible. Your opponent will generally be at a very awkward damage count. This will close the game for you. Miss Phantasm will give your called units 10,000 power if you have 10 or more cards in drop, which you will, because like I said, this is a very aggressive mill deck. This is automatically a 15k attacker. If you're playing this on turn 2, you will have 2 cards face up in the generation zone. This means it's a 25k attacker. And here's the spoiler. Because we have boosters like the Great Philander, that is a whopping 18k boost to this guy. You will break jaws. You will kill people because this is the 5k shield format. Numbers like this, they don't come cheap. So yes, it is a garnet. It doesn't really do anything until the Miss Phantasm turn. But if you're willing to, commit to this strategy, if you're willing to play a deck like Nightrose, you might as well go all in on a meme and just kill people with 2 crit. And you can tell people, hey, I killed you with an irrelevant 2021 promo. I think most people get offended. I hope so. But yeah, that's really about it. Again, this is a spicy tech bit. It's not even in my encyclopedia because I didn't value it at the time. But after playing it for a week, man, this is funny. But yeah, if you don't agree, I can understand. There are other options you can play in this slot, So yeah, I would totally understand if you don't want to play Bovine Blast. He is a bit of a win more card, but if you want to, why not? Our grade ones, we have a copy of Parting Shade. They are from the right deck. I don't know what gender it is, and frankly, it doesn't matter to me. And then we have 4 copies of Cam the Ghosty, yes. 4 copies of the Great Philander, yes. 4 copies of Famja. Famja, I already discussed, yes. And then we play 4 Perfect Guards. Once Still Alive, and then we play for Tommy. Okay, yeah, let's run through it. We've already covered Marauding Shade. I won't cover this any further. If you need a recap, just rewind the video, guys. It's still here. Famja, you already know. I've already discussed all the things about Famja. The other effect you need to know is that when placed on a rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is the same grade as your opponent's Vanguard, you can mill the top card of your deck. This unit gains 2. So again, really good for grade 2 gaming, especially when you're fighting an enemy Stride Deckset. Your opponent will also be a grade 2, you'll be a grade 2, or you'll be a grade 1, your opponent will be a grade 1. You can use Famja and just rush and beat down for magic number. 10k will match an opponent's grade 2 10k Vanguard. It is very good. You can see how Famja really brings together the whole deck's idea of being a pure early game, no grade 3 deck, because Famja just gives you not only the Nightrose loop, it gives you an early aggression. There's really no complaints I have about this card. It's freaking beautiful, and it's definitely a card I would look forward to if I don't have Enlarged Gulf. Enlarged Gulf currently is at 7,000 yen, last I checked. So, if you're not that rich, or if you just, don't have your parents' money, for those children out there, yeah, this is a good option. Or if you're a working adult like me, this is a great option. Not everyone can get a job, because I've heard that complaint before. Oh, just get a job. No, maybe not. Because all my job money went here. Philander, bastard generic. There's no way to say it. This is a version of Nightrose that requires mill, so we play 8 mill. all of them in the same skill. When placed on the Vanguard circle from hand, top 5, mill 1, shuffle the deck. He has holo, and if you holo him, he gains 5. Then he will die, of course. Philander, if you have 10 or more cards in the drop, he gains 10. Again, if that skill sounds familiar, it should. It's literally just another copy of Marauding Shade. So milling your drop zone heavily, milling your drop zone quickly, and having a lot of beat down early with the 10 or more in drop, and then just gaining a lot of power, 10k, 18k, 10k, 18k, you will be the strongest early gamer this format has. Do not take that lightly. So this is, again, one way you can play Nightrose. You don't agree, find another way. I think it's perfectly fine. But as you can see here, it's pretty fun. 8 millers, you basically play like V Eradicators, you basically play like all those Omni Search decks. It is that good. 8 millers, come on, who wouldn't want that? Thankfully though, because they are all on play skills, you don't use them like Navigator, because, you know, if you had to use Navigator, that would suck. We don't have that kind of blasting to afford the rest too. And last but not least, for Tommy and then for PG. The PG doesn't matter, you can just play 4 copies of Water Sprout Jin. I don't think it's wrong. Tommy is just your standard strike fodder. Again, because Nightrose is like the quintessential card this deck, having a Nightrose Searcher or Omni Searcher is always going to be good. And you can just use him as a strike fodder first into Obadiah. Oopsie. You can just use it as a strike fodder for Obadiah for your first strike. So realistically speaking, Tommy is just never a bad option. If you have a large Gulf in your deck, you won't really need Tommy at such a large number. But I like you to also keep in note for our purposes, Tommy searches by a discard 1. Why are you discarding? To build the drop zone. Yeah, it is all about that synergy. That's all we're here for. That's all we live for. That's all we have left. And then our grade zeros, we obviously play Bernache in the right deck, and then we also have all our other triggers and stuff, so I'll go through them right now. Very simple. Just play 8 crit, just play 4 heal, play 3 draw, because you need the pieces, you need a draw. This deck has very little draw, or realistically no impactful amounts of draw. I know some people will say, why aren't I playing Negrobone? I'm not playing Negrobone because, you know, it's very unwieldy to use. You have to resurrect him from the drop and then you get it. So no, I don't think I will use Negrobone. And then of course, Overtrigger. As I mentioned, Encyclopedia. Frankly, it doesn't matter which Overtrigger you use. I just play Bless for War because I like it. You don't have to though. Yeah, and that will wrap up my Nightrose deck profile for Standard. Wow. I'm blown away. I really am. You know, despite the fact that I've been telling people this deck's not very good, which it isn't, and that you're locked to 3 attacks, you can see now that this deck profile I presented is a pure axis of early game power of just building the drop and rushing, and then you just pray that your opponent dies, or if not, you know, you can hopefully reach turn 4 and strike. Is this the best way to play Nightrose? I'm not sure, because the meta list is still the list in the Encyclopedia. This is just an alternate way to build it that I thought was really cool and I wanted to talk about it. But if you want to just play the meta list that's everywhere, that's just the generic soup, well, yeah, I guess you can do that, but it's really up to you. I still think that this deck has potential. Not as much potential as Harry, but it does have potential. It can certainly get better. Direct support is hard for Stride Decksets because they don't really do that. But, you know, there is still a chance that we can get something along the way. And even if it doesn't, this is still Nightrose Summer. It's still my favorite deck. I'm still going to play this deck for the rest of Standard. Realistically speaking, this is definitely a deck I'm going to be carrying around for me for the rest of my life until they, you know, reboot again. And we may need a reboot when we see the new Eugene. Yeah, I think Eugene's pretty good. Eugene best deck, right guys? Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Again, please check the links in the description for the Encyclopedia, especially if you are curious about Nightrose as a whole, or if you're a returning player, or you just want to read and learn more. Please check it out. I spent a lot of time on it. It would mean a lot to me. And yeah, that would be about it. I'm still covering some deck profiles. Let's see if I can cover more before DZ BTO5. Bye bye. Take care, guys.